Welcome to the Afsan Farm Kitchen Podcast. Today, we'll discuss adopting Mediterranean-style eating habits by the American people. Welcome back to the Afsan Farm Kitchen Podcast. Hi, everyone. I'm Chris.
And I'm Jessica. You know, Chris, I was looking at a study this morning that said the average American makes over 200 decisions about food every single day.
200? I feel like I make 50 of those just standing in front of my fridge at 11 p.m.
Exactly. But the reality is, for most of us, those decisions are getting harder, not easier. We're busier than ever, the grocery aisles are more confusing than ever, and let's be honest, our collective health is feeling the squeeze.
It really is. And that's why we are so excited about today's episode. We aren't just talking about another fad or a quick fix. We're diving into a specific nutritional approach tailored specifically for the American lifestyle. Something that actually accounts for the long commutes, the office birthdays, and the Sunday barbecues.
We're calling it the sustainable stateside approach. Today, we're breaking down what makes this diet different, why it's gaining so much traction from coast to coast, and most importantly, how you can make it work in your own kitchen without losing your mind.
Whether you're tuning in from a gym in Seattle or a tractor in Kansas, pull up a chair. We've got a lot to get through.
Okay, let's get into this podcast after a short music break from the Mediterranean Sea.
Afsan Farm Kitchen Studio.
We'll get back to you.
Hi, everyone. It may surprise you to know that the typical American spends 37 minutes each night making dinner. But what if the secret to gourmet cooking was actually spending less time in the kitchen?
That's such a counterintuitive idea. Usually, we think more time equals better food. What made you start thinking about this?
Well, I've been exploring these Mediterranean-style sheet pan dinners that are completely changing how we think about cooking. They use professional chef techniques, but simplified down to literally one pan. The genius is in how they handle temperature zones and timing.
Tell me more about these professional techniques. What makes them different from just throwing everything on a pan?
So here's what's fascinating. Take their crispy chicken with squash recipe. They actually use the physics of the oven, placing chicken around the edges where it's hotter while vegetables go in the center. The chicken gets this amazing crispy skin while the vegetables cook perfectly.
Oh wow, I never thought about strategically using oven temperature zones like that. What other chef tricks do they incorporate?
Get this. In their Mojo chicken recipe, instead of wasting the marinade, they separate out the aromatics and roast them right on top of the chicken. And for their honey mustard salmon, they preheat the sheet pan before adding vegetables, which creates restaurant-quality caramelization.
That's exactly the kind of technique that could elevate home cooking. But what about nutrition? Are we sacrificing health for convenience?
Actually, that's another clever aspect. These recipes align perfectly with the Mediterranean diet. Like their sheet pan turkey meatballs, they incorporate spinach and feta into the meat. Serve it with plenty of vegetables and add a yogurt sauce that's rich in probiotics.
You know, I've been reading about how the Mediterranean diet can reduce heart disease risk by up to 25%. How do these recipes incorporate those principles?
Well, each recipe prioritizes vegetables, whole grains, and healthy fats. The sheet pan salmon with broccoli is packed with omega-3s, and their chickpeas and spring vegetables recipe is loaded with fiber and plant-based protein. They even have a gut health-focused recipe with prebiotic-rich foods like mushrooms and beans.
Speaking of health benefits, what about portion control? That's always been my struggle with sheet pan cooking.
Here's something interesting. They've designed these recipes to naturally create balanced portions. The sheet pan size actually helps control servings, and they use the plate method, where half is vegetables, a quarter protein, and a quarter whole grains.
That's such a smart approach. But let's talk about the cleanup factor. Sometimes one-pan meals still leave you with a mess.
So they've actually thought about that too. They recommend using heavy-duty, light-colored aluminum pans because they conduct heat more evenly. And here's a pro tip. Never put a hot sheet pan in water. Let it cool completely to prevent warping.
These sound like the kind of practical details that could really make or break a recipe's success. Any other essential tips?
You know what's crucial? Ingredient size consistency. In their sheet pan chicken thighs with sweet potatoes recipe, they're very specific about cutting everything to ensure even cooking. And timing is everything. Most recipes start at 425 degrees Fahrenheit for that initial sear.
Well, this conversation has completely changed my perspective on sheet pan cooking. It's not just about convenience. It's actually about applying professional techniques in a simplified way.
Exactly. And here's what's really exciting. Once you understand these principles, you can start experimenting. These aren't just recipes. They're templates for understanding how different ingredients work together. Just remember to keep those oven mitts handy, especially when working with preheated pans. Hope this podcast was useful for you. Thank you for listening. Farm Kitchen Podcast, Afsan Farm Media Production.